Welcome back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. As promised, it is time to split the party. I already went through this and recorded this once. It took me about an hour to settle on things. I'm pretty sure it's not interesting. So what I'm going to do here is just sort the units into the bins that I had them from that hour-long thing, and then just explain why I'm doing what I'm doing once I have done that, or as I do that. So first of all, we got Har, Jill, and Marcia on this team. So this team fights on the desert map on its second chapter, and on the desert map, we're going to want people that can actually move around, and these three can move around. Now, obviously, there's some other flyers, specifically the Hawks, Alki, and Janaf, that we could bring, but there is a conversation that you get to have with the Hawks if they are in Tibarn's army. I don't know if it's important, but the Hawk army can also use some flyers because their second map is in a swamp. And actually, the first map is in like a forested area where flyers can get across the trees. So they have some use for flyers too. Obviously, Tibarn and Alencia are also flyers, but in any case, so that's also why Tanith is still here, and Neolucci is also going to be on this team. So that's so we've got plenty of flyers over here. Okay, so moving on to, we're going to have Oscar and Kieran on this team. God. So the mounted units really don't want to be in these two armies because both of them have movement restrictions that are pretty heavy, although granted, the Grail army has an indoor chapter where they're going to be knocked down to 7 movement, but this army fights in a swamp chapter, this army fights in a desert chapter, and they don't really want to participate in that. So they're going to be there. Additionally, Mia, I think I'm probably going to support with Ike. So I had a whole deliberation about final chapter characters, and basically, aside from the force characters, which are Micaiah, Soth, Ike, a Heron, and then Kurth, Ina, and Soniki. You get 10 more characters. A bunch of those are going to be Laguz Royals. There's 4, like, for real Laguz Royals. Nisala, Tibarn, Kanegus, and Nyla. Oh, and did I mention the Heron? But yeah, you get 17 total characters, 6 force characters, 1 Heron, and 10 others. Anyway, so for Laguz Royals, there's also Gifka, who is basically a Laguz Royal, except he doesn't have form shift, but you do get a Laguz gem, which you can use to like keep him perma-transformed. So yeah, that's half of the units right there if you bring all of them. I won't necessarily bring all of them. I think there's a good chance that I will, but we'll see. Meanwhile, you've also got Har and Jill, who I would like to bring. I could imagine myself not bringing Jill. There's almost no way I won't bring Har. Then there's Shinon, who actually I'll go ahead and move him over here and explain that in a bit. But so Shinon is going to be useful with the double blow. His stats are quite good. I think he will make sense to bring. So that gets you to like 2 slots left. Now, you know, who those slots go to and whether that's only 2 or whether I maybe make it 3 or 4 depending on which Laguz Royals are worth bringing, because like Laguz Royals don't have 1 to 2 range, and that is worth taking into account. Like you want somebody who can use the Witchblade. That could be Marcia. That could be Oscar. You want somebody to use the Irvan. That's probably Har. Could be Jill. Could be Titania. I ideally want somebody to use the Alondite, which could be Titania, I think. I'm not actually sure how that works. Actually, whether like the fact that she's at SX Axe means she can't get to SS Sword, which you need to do. You can actually use Renning. I doubt I'll want to use Renning, but you know, it's an option. Another option is Mia, so So the reason I went onto this digression is because I think it's possible that I would use Mia, and then, you know, if I do that, I'm probably going to want to support her with Ike. I talked about wanting to change the supports to be a Titania Oscar and Mia Ike. So, anyway. Where are we? So, Mia and then Heather. Okay, so we're bringing Heather in this army because there's a bunch of chests that you can open in 4-4, which is the second Grail Army chapter, and that takes place in Oliver's mansion, in a chapter that is very reminiscent of chapter 20. No, wait, no, it's 16 in Path of Radiance. No. Is it before or after the surround? Oh, it's definitely before. So before Surrounded Sports. So yeah, 16. Anyway. So what else? Volug is in this team mostly because there's a conversation that he can have if he's on this team. Gatry is going to be on this team because he has a Paragon Scroll, and I have more units that I probably want to train in this army than I do in the other armies, and he really doesn't want to fight in the bad terrain place. So even though he's almost certainly not going to join the final party, although he could, I mean, he's good, it's just his speed cap is a problem. But anyway, he... it's as much as anything about the Paragon Scroll, but also about the movement thing. Like I said, he doesn't really want to fight in the swamp. He doesn't really want to fight in the desert. Definitely doesn't want to fight in the desert. It's unfortunate that he doesn't get to join Shinon. But Shinon is going over to the Hawk Army because in 4-5 you fight a whole mess of Lagoos, and you want Shinon there to shoot the Hawks. Speaking of Lagoos, Nolan is joining the Hawk Army because he has the Beast Foe skill, and we want that available to somebody in that chapter. Is it going to be Nolan? I don't know, but it's going to be somebody, so he's going over there. So is Edward, because Edward is Nolan's support partner, so why not? Khalil is also joining this party because she has a conversation that she can only have. Well, no, that's not exactly true. Amy shows up and you get a different conversation depending on. It's just a 1-star conversation. It doesn't matter, but I might as well. It doesn't, because I'm not going to play her anyway. Okay, so then we have healers. So we are going to put Riss on this team. Why Riss? So Alencia wants to participate in combat. She doesn't want to be a solo healer. She can be, but she wants to fight with her Meaty because Meaty's good. So Riss is the best floating healer that I have. Mist is locked here. Micaiah is locked here. Alencia is locked over here. The other floating healer that we have is Laura, and Laura is worse. It is worth noting that this leaves this party with no physics saves, which would be alarming because you can't. There's not like a good way to get them throughout Part 4, except that we can drop them in the convoy and the Hawk Army goes last, so that's fine. And similarly, Laura is going to come over here because Micaiah is... Why did I put Laura over here? I actually don't remember. Why I thought Micaiah needed more backup than Mist, I don't really remember. I think it's mostly actually just a deployment slot thing. Like this party has stronger units overall and less fewer deployment slots to work with. This party gets 15 characters in both of its chapters. This gets like 12 and 14, and this one gets 12 and 12. So this party has a little bit more space. Anyway, okay. So speaking of space, we're going to put these two archers here. Why? Because there are flyers in I think both of the chapters that this army fights in, and it is my belief that the bad archers, that being these two, are going to be more able to kill Pegasus Knights than they are Hawks, just because Hawks are going to be dodgier. So that's why Shinon's over here. Plus, the Hawks will probably get more XP, but that's less, consequential. In all likelihood, these two won't actually kill anything because, like, Har and Jill will do all the killing. But if for whatever reason I need to do that, then I have that option. Okay, so at this point, we have sorted all of the characters that matter except maybe Zahark. So Zahark is probably the last unit that gets deployed in this party. So as I said, they have 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you get, you have, to round it out, you have Lucia, Torneo, Ranulf, and Zahark. Probably take Zahark over Ranulf. But it is. I didn't think too hard about where Zahark would go, and I didn't think too hard about the rest of where everybody else would go. But the one thing I did do, just for the sake of completion or whatever, is for the same reason that these two are over here, put the other mounted units here. Put the, let's see, this just to them out of the way, right? And then we get this mounted units. I put the Lagoos, the remaining Lagoos over here, and the reason for that is, and as well as Ileana, and the reason for that is because, like flyers, they are not restricted in their movement in the desert. Although they are when they're untransformed, the Lagoos. But whatever. They're not going to get deployed anyway. But it's just and then I really didn't give much thought to, like, Meg and Samus and absolutely do not matter. Danved, Boyd, Braum, and Nephany are, and to a lesser extent Zahark, are fillers. So basically, you could put them wherever, and maybe what I should do actually is just, like, take a quick look at, like, okay, so I mentioned they have, like, 14 and then 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they could, they could deploy, like, one more unit. So I could move Zahark over so that he could stay paired up with Volug. This team is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have a bunch more space. So you could move Zahark over, you could move, like, Danved or Nephany over. I didn't, but I think actually, well, it's just that it really doesn't matter. I think what I'm actually going to do is move Danved and Nephany over as the most deployable units, because they won't get doubled. Okay, so, like, he's got 16 speed, he's got 18, she's got 20, he's got 21. So they're conceivably deployable. Which cannot be said for Meg, Samus, or Boyd. Well, Boyd might be deployable. Braum, almost certainly is not. Anyway, I've got a couple of free deployment slots in this party. I guess it could be argued that it makes more sense to deploy Ranulf here and, like, move Zahark over too. But I don't know. This party is weaker. This party is going to have, very little in the way of training going on. Valencia is a possible unit for endgame. It would be nice to train. Shinon, and that's pretty much it. Like, maybe I would consider bringing, like, Janoth, but I doubt it. And then, like, over here, I forgot what I was gonna say. But I guess actually, I think what I will actually do is move all these trash tier units into here, and then move Boyd over here, because there's more deployment slots to be had over here, so like maybe I'll want some filler here. I'll even move Braum over here. Just like put all the filler over there because they have more slots and you know, whatever. I mean, I guess actually Kaisa's at least gonna be better at shoving than like Faith is, so do that. Leave the cat rejects in the Grail army and move the tigers over to here so that they can like at least shove people around in the desert. Like maybe if I actually bring Rolf and Leonardo, then I can bring these two and like shove them around. I don't know, or shove Laura or Leanne. I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, it's not very important, but there you have it. So that is the division of my units. I changed it a little bit from the first round go around, but that's fine. It's nothing. I didn't change anything important. So we have that, and then we get some more dialogue. Oh yeah, we get the sending stones. So this is how we send items through the convoy to each other. So that mystery is solved. Also, apparently we can't give them directly to the Herons. We have to give them through the leaders of the different teams, because who knows why. Because we're rude to the Herons or something. And then, dun dun dun. Nani? Renolf does nothing to tell him how he knows it's Selga. It's just like, oh, I just know. All right, fine. Yeah. And then, oh, yeah, there's a little bit more stuff, but eventually we're gonna get to play Guess the MVP for 4E, and which, I mean, I already actually played it and I know the answer, but I'm not gonna change my guess. The guess was obvious anyway. And we get this nice scene. Screamer's like, no bully Nasala. I like this picture of Nasala hauling Neolucci into the air by the waist. Alright, so yeah, the guess was Har. And it's Har, what a shocker. Yeah. I mean, he actually was less MVP-ish, arguably, than he has been in a lot of his other MVP chapters, but he did still have one enemy phase where he killed several enemies, which is more than anybody else really could have said. Like, it was a pretty player phase heavy chapter, just because a lot of the enemies went after the green units, and it took a little while to get into the areas with large clumps of enemies, and when I did, a bunch of them, there was one turn where a bunch of them attacked Kieran, and he didn't kill anything on the enemy face. So yeah. Anyway, next time we're off to do 4P, and I guess it seems like maybe we have a new bass music for the rest of the game. Which I do like this song, but I think I probably like the task at hand more. But oh well. Until then.